Hello, so this trade I took today was on RKLB. It's currently in this monthly uptrend. It has a pretty long wick to the upside right now, and it capped it right, what was it, exactly 100? 99.58 was the high here. But it's had long wicks on the upside before, and it still kept going. And it's funny because I'm finding that this stock does that a lot, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Weekly time frame, it's pretty extended looking to me, but these things can just keep going. I mean, ideally it would come in closer to the weekly, but as far as extended goes, it's 3.7 ATRs to the 50-day moving average, and so that's within my threshold of 4. I will say it shouldn't be too far extended if I'm going to try to swing long, and I say 4 or less in number of ATRs that I'm willing to give it a shot. So I figured it was fair. And then on the daily time frame, it had a pretty nice setup here where we had 1, 2, 3 touches, and it could keep going here for more upside. And so I was looking for it to catch a higher low here. And then this morning, so basically yesterday, Thursday, it looked to me like it had built what could be a lower wick that is worth an attempt for this being a daily higher low. And so my thought was I should play the break of yesterday's high today. So go down to the 30-minute, take a look. You can see what ultimately happened, but we had a nice big rally off those lows, and then we dipped in the morning. And this is kind of what I want to see when I'm doing this trade. This specific setup is one that I've been trading lately that works quite well, and I'll explain why. Okay, so the high of prior day is right here, this purple line. That's the Thursday high. And then off the open, you see that we actually spiked through it and then dropped back down. So a lot of traders, they'll take a trade like this and they'll play off the break of that high. They'll just buy there and their stop will go below the low of prior day where they think that is the daily higher low, and they'll just hold on for the ride. I find that 9 times out of 10, those breakouts reject, especially in this environment we're in right now. And so my goal is to have it pull in a little bit and set a higher low above the low of prior day. And so what I do is I use this tool here and I take an anchored VWAP and I drop it at the low of prior day because I want to see what's the volume weighted average price from that potential daily higher low, and is price able to get below that or not. And if it's going to be a good setup, and I did one with iron recently that was basically the exact same setup, and same thing, it came down, wasn't able to even reach that volume weighted average price, and then bounced from there. So I was looking to get long in here, and something that made sense to me, I was on the 5-minute time frame. It had this dip, did a bunch of chopping, set this potential, I think it was like a 2-minute higher low. Let's look and see. So yeah, it came down, set a low, set a lower high, came down, set a higher low. And so, you could do it on the 2 or the 5. I think I was using the 5. And that was my trigger right there to get long. And so if that was the trigger, I was doing it on this candle. My stop was actually right there. I just went to the low of day because from that point, I wasn't actually, normally what I'm doing is I'll put my stop below the low of prior day, but that was pretty far away. And this name, let's just see, down there is, 6.5% away. That's pretty big. And so I wanted something a little bit closer. And obviously this trade worked really well right out of the gates. And I was able to get risk-free pretty quickly. So it bounced from there, started moving up, and somewhere up here I sold a portion and covered my risk to the low of day. It then continued up for most of the day, and actually it was probably right here near the top when I said, I'm just not going to watch it anymore. I'm just going to let it do its own thing. And then I went and I was doing my taxes for the rest of the day. And then you can see what happened. It rolled over towards the end of the day, which is pretty disappointing because if you jump back to the daily time frame, now I look at this and obviously my brain says, that looks like now we have a daily lower high. So, we're basically, here was our low, we come up, we set a high, we're looking for a higher low, that might be it. Now we have this. If we break the low of today on Monday or over the weekend, that's a daily lower high, and the downtrend has begun. And so I'm less excited about this as a long now because I'm pretty sure that we'll lose that low. And I didn't want to hold this over the weekend. And so when I saw that it had come in, and I checked the charts in the after hours, and saw that it had come in, so I just took the trade off, which is kind of a disappointment. But that's okay. The point is, and the reason why I still love this trade is because to me it's very clear. Like, I love it when you get the opportunity to not have to, maybe you thought this was going to be the daily higher low and you got in long and then you held it into the after hours, and then overnight it dumped and you wake up the next day and you have got potentially a losing trade on your hands. And the next day it goes lower again. This rally off these lows is something where you can feel a little more confident that the daily higher low might be in, and then it gives you, a higher low. I just wait till the next day to make my attempt. I let it prove itself for a day, and then I take the attempt the next day. Sometimes these get away from you, but I'll show you one of these that I did on January 2nd that worked. That was amazing. So that would be here on IREN. Here I was looking for an inverse head and shoulders, and I got this higher low here. So on this day when the low was set, I realized that could be the higher low. And so here on January 2nd was the day that I got long, and I'll jump down to the 30 and we'll find it. Here was that low, and then here was the day I got long over here. And once again, I'll jump down to the 5. So this was the low, the daily higher low in the inverse head and shoulders, and then here was the dip. And so same thing, I drop a VWAP there. Look, it came down, couldn't get below the VWAP, and then rallied from there. My long position was here, and I actually, because the risk wasn't too bad, I actually put the stop below prior day. And so same thing like this, and this trade ended up working really, really well. And I held this for a long time. This one was held until over here. I got out of most of my position on this rally here after we'd had some balance and we pushed up. I got out of most of it there. So that was a really good trade. And these are the kind of trades that I've been trying to do. I feel like this is my best setup. And the reason it's so good is because even like today on Rocket Lab, like it ultimately was not a winning trade because it had that full reject off these highs, and now we have a potential daily lower high. However, I was able to get risk free with very little stress. And if you're trying to do something like size up your trades, which I'm trying to do now, it feels really comfortable to have a setup like this where you get a decent bounce almost every time, and then nothing is every time, but I'm having pretty good luck with this where I get a pretty decent bounce and it's enough to take off some risk, and then I don't have to sweat it. So anyway, that's the trade I did today. I hope that one makes sense to you guys. This is my absolute number one trade. I'm going to keep trying this everywhere that I can in stocks that are trending up.